new phenomena is attacking the police officers with weapons. That is something we did not know before, at least as far as I know, we did not know before. But not only the death of Benjamin and the first death of a police officer in the line of duty is an example of that, but the fact that you've read and heard of numerous criminals shooting at the police when police approach them. Again, an indication of the tendency to violence of these new group of criminals that we have on the island. And at the same time, as I've said before, we are confronted with organized crime battling over their territories at the moment, at this point in time. The police will continue to do their work in the most effective way that they possibly can with the means, the limited means that they have. The result of this is that an appeal has been made on me by the police force to ask for assistance from the Minister of Justice of Curaçao and the Minister of Justice of Aruba. That assistance I will request. I will sign those letters today requesting the assistance of officers from those two countries who have also agreed to help us with the tackling of these high-impact crimes. Furthermore, making use of the so debated protocol I signed in the Netherlands appeal on the joint detective team to help us not only in the area of what they call undermining or combating corruption, but also in the tackling of these high-impact crimes. And I can tell you today that they have agreed to make officers available so that we can increase our activities in investigating these issues in the coming months. I'm just waiting on the Royal Marechaussee to also agree to participate in this regard, but I have hope that that will also take place. So, contrary to the impression that is given out there, the police force is doing its work, and we are doing our best to do whatever is necessary to tackle the crime on St. Martin, so that it does not explode and overwhelm our society. It is also important, as you know, for the image of St. Martin when it comes to our economy. We have a tourism economy that is very sensitive to crime. So we do not want to create the image on this island that crime is rampant and that nothing is being done about it, because that would have an adverse effect on our economy as well. Well, the figures does not show that in numbers there's an increase, but the figures do show, as I've said before, the increase in the use of violence in committing these crimes. We have to do something about that, like I said, in the preventative sphere. And I know that my colleagues are busy in this regard. In fact, suggestions were made to the Central Committee from the different ministries of what can be done in this regard as structural measures for the future. I think I would like to leave it at this point, and I will await your questions, although I must ask the Prime Minister. I have to be at the Governor at 11 o'clock, so...
Oh, well, someone will advise the Governor that you're a couple of minutes late. Thank you very much, Minister. Minister Rita Bourne-Gomes.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good morning to representatives of the media. Good morning to our radio listeners and our television viewers. Minister of Justice rightfully said that there are certain ministries that focus on the building and empowering of our community, and I believe those two ministries directly are the Ministry of VSA and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. What has been happening in the ministry, besides focusing on education as a whole, we have seriously been looking at empowering our young individuals in particular to prevent what the Minister of Justice just said, the growing of crime in St. Martin. Through the Department of Youth last week, Thursday, the ministry hosted, with the initiative of the Department of Youth, the ministry hosted a conference that said, I Am King. The theme of the conference, I Am King, empowering men of all ages, primarily focusing on young individuals from various schools, various high schools, and there was a panel discussion where we discussed responsibilities of young men and men of all ages in our community. Not what the ideal man is, because there's no such, but what an individual can do to contribute positively to the community. There was a great response from the various participants, over 200 men. There were approximately maybe 7, if so much, women in the room, which was my person and members of the youth department, the female persons that work there. It was received very well amongst the participants, and there will be various other sessions that will be held in a continuation of this, as the young individuals who are present shared their enthusiasm and their motivation to bring about a change in St. Martin. Additionally, the Council of Ministers, though it's been on the agenda for months now, we've been trying to get it concluded, we recently approved the process for the Educational Care Center, which will basically be aimed towards modifying certain challenge behaviors that we're now facing in some of our public education schools. This is a pilot program. With the approval of this advice, it ensures that the pilot program, the training thereof for persons, will begin officially in the next month or two, and the program will commence. The target date was October. However, with all of the technicalities of processing, everything that needed to be completed, we're now faced with pushing the pilot program back a little, like 2 to 3 months, which is very unfortunate because there's a dire need for such a program. I was very happy that the Council of Ministers saw it very necessary to have such a program, because such a program will prevent individuals from, let's say, from small problems growing into more severe problems, basically. This is an initiative, a collaboration between Student Support Services within the ministry and the Ministry of Division Public Education. Besides that, we're basically, again, in terms of empowering our community and trying to build a more positive community and stray away from all the negative actions that are currently taking place. We're looking into, we will be launching on the 23rd, which is Friday coming, I believe, National Identity Survey. Now, this is something that's been processed since, I believe, 2005, where data was collected in terms of what is a St. Martiner, looking into the national anthem of St. Martin, and then everything came to a pause because of continuity. We're again looking at research that was done since then, and we're going to do it through a poll where we're going to look at the identity of a St. Martiner by birth, by heritage, and by adoption. And we're encouraging everyone to, the reason why we're doing a poll on this first before we go into the panel discussion, so that we can have the views of the community on various aspects of the identity of a St. Martiner, the national anthem. Should we look at, we're given the option of not only looking at the current St. Martin song, however, should we look towards the road of composing an entire new song? I believe this should not be the decision of a minister. It should not be the decision of a handful of persons. It should be the decision of the population of St. Martin. This is why we're sending it to the polls to get their feedback. And from that feedback, we will also embark on panel discussions, why this and why not that. So we want to really elucidate and give elucidation to the reason for the population choosing certain aspects of identity in St. Martin. So we encourage everyone, when we launch these polls through the ministry Facebook page and through the government website, so that everyone will take part, so we can hear your views on the public's mind in terms of where should we go further. Additional to that, we are, with the Constitution Day, many persons were saying nothing happened, and I stated in Parliament, I do not believe that Constitution Day should only be celebrated on the day of Constitution, that we're looking at the second Monday in October. However, it should be a year process of educating the community, and that is what we're doing. There are 5 planned events, and when we do have the official calendar, we will launch that. But one of the events, for example, will be the fundamental rights of citizens of St. Martin according to the Constitution. We will educate the population in also about the Constitution of St. Martin, and coming down to all of that, ending with booklets that can be dispersed in the schools. So this will be an ongoing, it's a committee that's been for the last 2 months sitting together planning these events, and that it continues, hopefully that it continues. St. Martin's Day celebration is coming up, and a committee has also been comprised to put together a vision where, when I came in as minister, I said to persons within the committee that persons who understand the culture of St. Martin, who understand the traditions of St. Martin, to come together and put together a St. Martin's Day celebration that would allow not the minister, previous sitting coming, but the people of St. Martin to enjoy a celebration, because I seriously believe we have moved away from traditions, and it has changed us as a community. And I believe in beginning certain initiatives to bring the community back together in celebrations, in terms of educating them, in terms of empowering them, can bring about a change in St. Martin that is definitely needed. The St. Martin's Day celebration is a full-packed program that begins from the Sunday, the 9th. Yesterday there was a press conference where we give details of such, and we will also give details, a day of events, a day of time, what will be happening at what location. That will be released to the media very soon, so persons can have that on hand and see the various events where they can attend. Just to name a few, to recap from yesterday, of course, you know there are the official events where the wreath laying ceremony will take place, the church service will take place, the uniform parade will take place. After that, we're looking at having a cultural parade. Thus far, there were about 30 groups that signed up for the cultural parade, which will be depicting various national dresses of St. Martin, though within this cultural parade might be persons from a different cultural background. However, they're showing that their culture uniting in St. Martin as persons living on St. Martin. The theme for St. Martin's Day is, though culturally diverse, St. Martin's unity comes first. And this theme was, I threw some words out to the ministry in terms of unity, traditions, persons coming together as living and citizens of St. Martin. And the individual who came up with this theme was Lizanne Charles, and I congratulate her and thank her for that. So besides the cultural parade, which is going to take a different route, different format, we will have a traditional fancy fair. We're going to have coconut tarts, sugar cakes, marby, lemon juice, and all of the traditional drinks and foods of St. Martin will be situated here in the Clambelega Square. Then we also have, ending the day in the Festival Village, we will have local performers and showcasing St. Martin's talent. On the day of St. Martin, I have requested everyone who's taken part in the St. Martin's Day celebration to promote St. Martin's culture, which means we will not hear no other songs being played than those composed on St. Martin, developed from persons within our community. I ask of everyone, as soon as we release, before we release, actually, I ask of all of the business community to display pride in terms of support of the celebration of St. Martin's Day by placing the St. Martin's flag at your establishment. I ask persons within the community to purchase flags also from, I know Honor Bookstore, I'm not promoting anyone directly, but I know Honor Bookstore has many as such, to show that you too, as a citizen of St. Martin, you too are proud to celebrate this wonderful day as a person living here and as a St. Martiner. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Mr. Boseman?
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Members of the press, TV viewers, radio listeners, good morning. I was going to make a remark about being the last to speak, but then I realized the Prime Minister hasn't spoken yet, so it won't hold. The ministry, as Minister Bourne said, there are specifically two ministries within the government apparatus that deal directly with the concerns, direct, as a phrase that was used in the past, bread and butter of the community, and that is education and VSR. But they are also influenced by what happened naturally in the other ministries. I would like to just make a general remark. Majority of the things that I would be mentioning here are issues and topics that have been in the mill for quite some time. So I'm not sitting, tapping myself on the shoulder about what I have done in the short period that I was here. But I would like to say that very important issues take sometimes a very long time and unnecessarily long when you have some of the turbulence that we have. Every time you have to start over, it delays. And the perception of the public is that nothing is being done. This is not a correct perception, nor is it fair to the civil servants who work on these things. It is not the 7 ministers or sitting here who labor and get these proposals to the table to be decided on. There's a whole barrage of civil servants and teachers who work on these proposals, and having come from that group just recently, I know that sometimes it hurts for them to be hearing that while their personnel stops and all of the measures that are taken, that they work very hard to get these proposals to the table, that the perception is that nothing is happening. So I just needed to say that. And I thank the civil servants very, very much for all of the effort that they have been putting in under very, very difficult and strenuous situations. I'd like to start by some things in the area of public health. Again, for some time now, there has been a joint collaboration between the SZV, the medical center, and the ministry when it comes with regards to the health situation, both health in the sense of the quality of health that is given, also the cost of health. As you may know, between government and private insurance company, we spend some 30 million guilders per year sending people abroad. That is 30 million that we are investing in other people's economy. We can use that injection here, and ways and means have been looked at as to how that could be achieved. I've had several meetings with the partners involved. I've attended presentations where the proposed policy or business plan of the SMMC has been presented, and especially with the SZV. And hopefully, I'll be able to present a proposal, maybe this week itself, to the Council of Ministers on dealing with at least part of this matter. The legislation on the AOV, which is part of the instruction, as was mentioned earlier by one of my colleagues, that was given from the 60 to 62. That is at Parliament. I know I was scheduled to go Monday at Parliament. I hope that meeting would continue, because it not only because the instruction mentioned it, but as you will know, this is also one of those issues that has been pending for a very long time. Okay, but it's at Parliament, just for the record. Also, the situation with the civil servants also have to be lined up with that 60 to 62, and that decision has also been taken by the Council of Ministers already. I've also had discussions on water production drinking water production and distribution. There too, there were groups involved, the water production company, Seven Seas, GB, who is doing the distribution, and previous colleagues, both Minister Bourne and Minister De Wever, have been diligently working on ways and means to expand the water capacity to be able to deal with the needs of the population on St. Martin. These are issues that go unnoticed until when you open the pipe and there's no water. And then everybody will start to scream. But these are issues also being worked on. The tank capacity has been increased, and right now the water company is busy putting in their second plant to be able to make sure that the population of St. Martin have good drinking water. And what was also announced already from the health area is that a health survey is being taken place right now, and that is happening in collaboration with our colleagues from the French side, from the collectivité. It is the first time that such a major collaboration has been taking place. We all the time keep saying that we are brothers and sisters, etc., you know, but these are some of the areas where we can cooperate, definitely cooperate with, as the Minister of Justice is doing in the crime area, etc. This health survey would help provide both governments with necessary information pertaining to the health of the population so that adequate measures could be taken. Also to be announced is that the Bureau stats have officially released the price index figure for the month of August, which is 0.9%. As you are aware, the ordinance on the minimum wage allows the Minister of Labor to index the minimum wage depending on the price index situation. I have taken note of it and sought advice, and will be also indexing the minimum wage for, as of January 2016 with the 0.9%. This is very important. If you can recall, years back, a big fight had to be fought to get the minimum wage up to par with the price index, and then it was Council Member Louis Laveisse who led that battle, and after that, it was very important to keep, as much as possible, to keep the indexation up to par, so that those wage earners who are on the lowest bracket, that they do not fall behind with their purchasing power. So this would be the 4th year. There's nothing exceptional that I'm doing, but I think it is important that it happens, and with this I announce that I also will be following suit, and it would be indexed as of January. That would bring the new minimum wage to, barring any little error in the calculation, to $8.83 per hour as of January 2016. Another very, very important piece of legislation that will be sent to Parliament this week via His Excellency the Governor is the amendment on the Civil Code. And the amendment of the Civil Code is a joint collaboration between the Ministry of Justice and VSA. Why justice? Because any changes to the Civil Code is the domain of the Minister of Justice, and the contents of the changes is VSA. And I want to thank my colleague, Minister Richardson, for his cooperation and collaboration. It has been also one of those things, if I'm not mistaken, 2 to 3 years, in another life I've been working on this from a different capacity. Why is it so important? This change regulates a number of cardinal issues of the labor market that for years we have been crying about. One of them is, for instance, the short-term labor agreement. Okay, the solution to that is going to be in the hands of Parliament now to debate and decide on. It also regulates transfer of enterprise. When we say transfer of enterprise, we think on Pelican. And when we think on Pelican, unfortunately, we should be thinking about a nice, luxurious vacation place, but we think on the 180, if not workers, who lost their jobs because of ownership changing. This regulation would prevent something like that from ever happening on St. Martin again. It also includes maternity leave. The regulation on maternity leave has been dealt with in this situation where it would afford female employees a maximum of 14 pregnancy and maternity leave at 100% salary. And this is both 14 weeks. Yeah, 14 weeks. Okay? That is before and after total. Okay? It also deals with the issue of breastfeeding. It also allows the female employee to have a necessary time off to be or to feed in a private area to feed their babies or to pump breast milk. It is also, I look at this, a combination of a public health issue because all reports indicate that babies who are breastfed grow up to be very healthy and smart kids. Okay? It also regulates issues like equal treatment in general and on the labor market between men and females. There should be no discrimination because one is a woman in any form or fashion, unless, for instance, the job requires it to be done by a male, for instance, and then you would say, okay, you can't hire a female. But other than that, there should be no discrimination. This piece of legislation, which I think we should all be proud of, for some 30 years I've been hearing all of these issues mentioned on St. Martin as main problems on the labor market. There will be this piece of legislation, as I said, hopefully by the latest Friday will be forwarded to the governor by the Prime Minister to be sent on to Parliament to be debated in Parliament.